Howdy, guys. Welcome to night 50 inside the Big Brother All-Stars house. This is Cliff Notes from outside the All-Star house. Hope y'all had a fantastic Wednesday. Good Thursday morning to y'all. We've got an eviction episode tonight, but we're going to talk all about what happened last night once we finally got feeds. First of all, the episode on CBS last night, fun episode. We got to watch Davon's veto speech, and we got to watch Zingbot do his thing with all the house guests, hence the background here. Zingbot's always kind of fun, a little cruel, but always fun. But as I said, after a full day of no feeds at all, the feeds finally come back on around midnight Houston time, 10 o'clock Big Brother time. And are y'all ready for this? A major shocker. I wasn't expecting to see this at all. But 10 o'clock Big Brother time, Memphis is still awake. Yes, indeed. He's still awake in the house playing charades with everyone else. So, yeah, who would have expected that? But in all seriousness, doesn't look like anything's changed. We all still have the same house guest in the house. Everyone seemed to be on decent terms. So not really sure what happened yesterday. That is to be discovered. I've got a theory. I'll talk about it here in just a second. But what happened in the last 24 hours? Again, we don't know. The house guests are playing charades when we come back to the live feeds, acting completely normal and friendly. There are a few whispers throughout the evening suggesting that maybe something happened. Some people are at odds with each other a little bit, and we will cover those. But we just don't know. I don't know what that 24 hours was. The charades game itself seems very planned and somewhat official. Seems like they started playing just about the time the feeds came on. Isn't that coincidental? So I wouldn't be surprised if the house guests maybe were encouraged to play just by, I don't know, whispers from the air or whatever, and maybe told when the feeds were coming back. So it seems like a very, very organized event. Now, they're playing charades, and no, I am not going to recap all the movies they covered and which ones they won or didn't. You are welcome. Except for one. At the very end, the final one, Nicole gets the movie Poseidon. She doesn't know what the word is. She acts like a possum with a pouch and everything else. And somehow out of acting like a possum, Davon manages to get Poseidon for her team to win. So props to them. I don't know how they did it, but they finished up on a high note. As soon as they get through playing charades, Memphis is off to bed, which is to be expected, but Memphis is off to bed. Now, one interesting thing, and this is getting into the theory of yesterday and what may have been going on. I noticed that there are pizza boxes in the kitchen on the main table or the island. They were fed today for whatever reason. It suggests that either they had some kind of a party or maybe they had a lack of access to the kitchen. A lot of the house guests are wanting to shower as soon as they get through a charades, which maybe suggests that they were outdoors getting a little sweaty or away from indoors for a little while. And the porta potty was available out there as per something that Memphis had said yesterday, or Enzo had said yesterday while he was out in the backyard. So I'm just wondering, could they have been outside for much of the day without access to the indoors? Maybe something to do with this clogged plumbing that they've been talking about, clogged drains and such. Maybe there were some indoor repairs going on that they just couldn't be around, especially with COVID and all that. Don't know, just a guess on my part. And then while showering, Enzo mentioned that there was no hot water as well. So maybe there was something going on with the plumbing, but we may never know. All right, some conversations. And there were a few. We had a short little period of time, but I'm going to cover the ones that were pertinent as well. In the photo room, Enzo and Cody are talking. Cody is saying that Christmas told Danny, who then told Cody, that Christmas doesn't want to sit next to Cody in a final two. And now Danny is wanting Cody to go talk to Christmas about it. I really don't know why she'd bring this information to Cody and then want him to go confront her with it. I don't know if she's just trying to get things stirred up, maybe between Christmas and Cody. Just not really sure. But Cody is now wondering as he talks to Enzo, he's saying, well, should I go talk to Christmas and find out what's up with Danny? Why is she trying to do this to us? Enzo's saying, no. But they're both agreeing that they're good. I think they're talking about tomorrow in the HOH, that they think they'll be good pretty much whoever wins it. Not sure that's the case, but they're feeling comfortable. But they're a little upset that they feel like Danny is set up where she is safe enough that she doesn't need to be trying for HOHs anymore, that she's got protection from all sides. She's not anyone's top target. But having said that, Enzo then says, well, Danny's in trouble because Tyler is coming for her and Nicole both, but especially Danny. And I think it sounded like it's because Tyler thinks that the two of them are so tightly linked that that he's seeing them as a target just because they're a duo that needs to be broken up. Cody also says, hey, Nicole asked me last night up in the have not room if Tyler has ever said my name. So he's thinking that someone's been telling her that her name may be getting floated around, or someone's saying that you may be a target for Tyler, trying to spread some information as well. So Nicole's a little bit nervous because of that, and you'll see it a little bit later tonight. She's nervous about how tomorrow's going to go for a couple different reasons. So in the kitchen, Davon and Danny are talking. Davon asks, she says, where is she? Oh, in the key room? Well, that's interesting. I think she's talking about Nicole. Right after that, Kevin then comes out of the key room. He'd been packing his clothes for eviction night and everything. And Nicole was in there, and he says, she's in there. I think she's talking to Danny still. He says, she's in there. At that point, the feed's cut. So we don't really know what's going on or why, but just the way Davon asked that question, I don't know. Sounds like something may be up between Davon and Nicole, and in a later conversation, we'll hear a little bit more discussion as well. So in the photo room, Enzo and Tyler are speaking. Enzo is saying, man, yo, I just can't trust Danny at all. And Nicole hasn't done anything so far in this game. So he's kind of not feeling real close to either one of them. There's a lot of talk here in the past few days. The guys seem like they're kind of thinking the women in their alliance maybe aren't quite as tight as they are with the guys with each other, as far as the guys go. All right, in the comic room, Kevin and David are talking. Kevin is telling David, saying, look, I don't have confirmation completely, but I've been told that I don't have to campaign. And so also earlier, Enzo and Tyler had been speaking and basically had said, well, Davon should know that she's going to jury this week. She should not be surprised tomorrow night. So it truly sounds, based on these conversations, that nothing has changed in the last 24 hours. Davon is still the primary target. The way Davon is talking, and she definitely suspects that she's going home. So I fully expect the vote tomorrow to send Davon to the jury house. Nothing changed while the feeds were gone, apparently. All right, in the kitchen, Davon and Danny are talking. And Davon's asking Danny, saying, hey, Danny, I'm out of here, but who are you going to put up if you were to win this HOH? Danny says, I'd put up Memphis and Christmas, and I'd backdoor Tyler. So we can certainly see where Danny's targets are aligned right now in terms of sides she's working with and all that. Of course, again, Danny's kind of spread out amongst a bunch of different groups, but a lot of different groups that aren't necessarily trusting Danny either. So a double-edged sword there. All right, in the love room, Davon is talking to the camera just by herself, kind of her goodbye message. Davon notes. She's crying. She's talking about how she hopes she didn't disappoint her fans, that she gave it everything she had, that she was there for a greater cause, and she just didn't want to disappoint anyone. She didn't want to offend anyone. So here's old boss Hogg's personal statement to that. She made some missteps. She believed some things that she maybe shouldn't have. She got betrayed by some people that she trusted. But you know what? She's played with passion. She's played with cause. I think she's given it everything she had. As long as that happens, I think Davon should walk out of here with her head held high. No one plays the game perfectly. As long as you give 100%, she's cool in my book. All right, let's get back to the conversation talk. In the storage room, Danny and Nicole are talking. Danny is saying that they're talking about what's going to happen depending on who wins the HOH. And Danny is saying, look, if Kevin wins HOH, he's going to put up Tyler and Cody. He knows the guys are coming for him. So, Nicole, you and I ought to be safe because he's going for the guys. They're also talking about the belief that tomorrow is going to be a double eviction, wondering what kind of comp it's going to be. Double eviction, so they're thinking it'll be questions, maybe memory wall, things like that. We know it's not a double eviction. It's this regular old evening, which makes me think it's not going to be questions. My personal guess, I think we may see the slip and slide tomorrow night, which is going to surprise these house guests because they're thinking it's going to be a double eviction. Nicole is talking about saying, well, I know you're saying that Kevin is going after the guys, but if I was to win HOH tomorrow and it's a double, I want Kevin out the door. She says, I think Kevin hates me and Cody. And so she's kind of disagreeing with Danny that she's safe if Kevin was to win HOH. The talk turns to using Danny's power. And remember, Danny's power allows the HOH to play in the next HOH competition. So they're talking about whether Danny would use the power so Memphis can compete in HOH. Danny is telling Nicole, saying, look, no one knows that I'm working with Memphis. And as long as Kevin, for example, as long as Kevin doesn't know I'm working with Memphis, if he wins HOH, he's not going to do anything to me. But if he knows I'm working with Memphis, there's a good chance he may put me on the block instead. So Danny's really hesitant to actually use her that power to let Memphis play again, because then people will question why she would use that power, or is she and Memphis tighter, than people have envisioned and such. Nicole is telling Danny, saying, look, I'm fine with taking the fall if I have to, and I assume this is if Kevin was to win HOH. She says, but Danny, you've got a power that could really reduce the chance of that happening if you play that power, and you really would help if you did it. So they're disagreeing on what would happen if that power is played, and what would happen if it wasn't played. Danny says, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, Nicole. I just don't know. Personally, I don't think she's going to play it tomorrow night. She has to let the Big Brother know by 10 o'clock Big Brother time tomorrow morning whether she's going to use it or not. I don't think she will, but I could be wrong. And then finally, Danny is telling Nicole that she is ready for tomorrow, but she is incredibly afraid of Christmas. Now, I don't know if she just means from a competition standpoint, or there's something else that's going on in these last 24 hours that we may not be aware of, some friction or what, but she says, I'm scared of Christmas. So it may just be competition standpoint. In the key room, Cody and Christmas are talking. They're agreeing. They're saying Danny doesn't want to win HOH tomorrow or tonight, because she doesn't want to show her cards. She feels safe enough. She doesn't want to have to show her cards by picking people. So Danny's not probably going to be trying hard for HOH at all. All right, so in the comic room, Davon and Kevin are talking. Davon is saying, look, Nicole's conscience is eating her up, but I don't owe her anything. Now, that tells me, did Nicole tell Davon over these last 20, when we didn't have the feeds, did she tell Davon about the vote flip that she voted to send Ian home? Or does Davon know it from someone else, or she's just finally decided the way it's gone? I don't know, but it suddenly sounds like Davon and Nicole are not real close. If that's the case, then that explains why Nicole may be so scared of Kevin if Davon has then passed on the information that Nicole was part of this flip. Just guessing there, but maybe that's the crux of it. Kevin is saying, look, I'm trying to distance myself from the entire situation. It wasn't really my involvement with it. I need to distance myself. He has already told Nicole that what's going on won't influence his decisions going forward. Kevin asks Davon, says, hey, look, if I win HOH, who would you put up? Who should I put up? And she says, put up Cody and Tyler and use Enzo as a backup. But you got to put Cody and Tyler up together. Don't do just one and let Tyler win the veto and pull both of them off. Make sure that one of them is up at the end no matter what. So finally, in the photo room, and that's kind of the end of the game talk. In the photo room, everyone's trying to go to bed. The lights are already off. Tyler, Enzo, and Cody are up there. Enzo and David as well. Enzo is amazed to learn how clear the night vision cameras are. He says, I thought they were just really super grainy greens that no one could see anything. And Tyler says, no, they're as clear as day. They can see everything, my friend. Yeah, Enzo, they can see everything. Enzo's suddenly worried. He says, oh, I'm bad. I've been sleeping naked. I've been scratching places where that itch. And there's probably GIFs. Y'all tell me, guys, all over of me, because I didn't know the cameras were that clear. So they're laughing about that. They talk a little too much. The lights come on, which they aren't too happy about. About that time, Danny finally calls it a night. I think she was the last house guest up. She comes in, immediately grabs a Febreze, starts spraying it everywhere, talks about how horrible it smells in there. Apparently, Enzo's had a little bit of gas. He says, I have vegetarian diets just don't agree with me, and whatever. And Danny's saying, you need to go see a doctor. There's something wrong here. Finally gets in bed. They call it night. Lights turn off, and we are now ready for tonight, eviction ceremony, and even more than that, the HOH. We're going to see what happens. So, again, I expect Davon is going to go home, and props to you, Davon, for playing the game with passion. If it is indeed your time, HOH, it's going to be very exciting because we're going to see a lot of fireworks based on who does or doesn't win this thing. So I'm going to be watching that. I hope y'all are too. And guys, I will see y'all in 24 hours, Friday morning. I'll see you then. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends.